Right, welcome back from Easter, everybody. Nice to see you all. All looking healthy, I see. Excellent. Right, so here's a picture of a mammoth. It says this photo shows a continental mammoth that lived in North America. Some adult mammoth with the height of a pony. Which point of this is a lie? Have you worked it out? Exactly, yeah. It can't be a photograph. Yeah, we did make them extinct because we hunted them to death, but we didn't have photography back then. You know, we're talking like 5,000 years ago. Therefore, yeah, that's the bit of the lie. It is in North America. We know that because we found remains of them in North America. I'll show you a tusk in a minute that's been found. And some adult mammoths were the height of a pony. Not these continental mammoths, but some mammoths lived on islands with steep sides, and therefore they evolved to be smaller because the smaller animals better at kind of climbing up steeper cliffs and things for food. So yeah, mammoth. And this is an actual mammoth leg that was found in Siberia, in Russia in the 1970s. The leg is the one in the middle. These are two ladies either side, just feeling the fur, the woolliness, I guess. Why had this 3,000-year-old leg not decayed? Yeah, the rest of the mammoth decayed, but they found a leg and there's cells in this, and they'd hope that they can get some DNA from it. Yeah, why did it not decay in Siberia, in Russia? Yeah, where the rest of the mammoth did decay. So have a think. I'm sure we'll get to it in a bit. And there's a mammoth. I'm liking my hair is kind of similar now. Getting a bit bushy. Right, that's just for fun. Skeleton of a mammoth. Yeah, to show that we have remains of them. We know that they existed. And here's a bloke struggling with a mammoth tusk that he's dug out of the ground. Yeah, so we have remains of them. We know they existed. And therefore, that's how we know a lot about how evolution has taken place. Yeah, and bones don't decay that easily. Some of them get preserved. If you get buried as a bone, you can get mineralized, and therefore bones turn to stone. And it's where a lot of archaeology comes from, as they excavate bones that are found in other rocks, and the bones end up being harder than the surrounding rock. Right, just quickly about the homework. Not homework, the task that I left you. It occurred to me because I sent you the email with your kind of answer, but I forgot to actually tell you what the question was to remind you. The question was, some of the leaves from the garden and strawberry plants die, they fall to the ground, the carbon in the dead leaves is recycled through the carbon cycle. Explain how the carbon is recycled. Now, seeing carbon, almost a trick here. You can't ever say carbon on its own in the answer. It's always carbon compounds. And we're after a level 3 answer, 5 to 6 marks, where there's a detailed, coherent explanation, and all your answers were coherent, logically, which links how carbon is released from dead leaves and how it's taken back up by a plant again and used for growth. And yeah, you can see how it's broken down into 3 bits by the examiners. It said carbon compounds. I'm not saying carbon, so you can say carbon compounds in leaves are broken down by microorganisms. So if you said it decomposed, that's brilliant, gets 1 mark. And that the plant uses CO2, carbon dioxide, in photosynthesis. A few of you missed off the respiration bit, that the microorganisms feed on the detritus and they respire. Yeah, and they release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Plants take this in for photosynthesis. And then a few of you missed off the page Mr. Council stuff, where the glucose made in photosynthesis is then used for growth. For e.g. making amino acids or proteins or cellulose. Yeah, a lot of you were giving really good answers here, though. So yeah, you were getting the idea that the plant dies, it's decomposed, it's food for the microorganisms, they release CO2 when they respire aerobically, the plant then takes in CO2 again, does photosynthesis, makes glucose, glucose is then used somehow for growth. And it's why I said, it's quite nice, is this topic, because we're learning nothing new. It's just applying photosynthesis. I guess the only new bit is the word decomposer and decay. Anyway, here's the pile of compost. Why is this pile of compost steaming? Yeah, so it's a cold morning, and we've got this, these microscopic kind of like little droplets are condensing. Yeah, so it must be giving off water, and it must be warmer because the water is condensing here. So here's a pile of compost. There's water being made, Microorganisms are in there doing respiration. Water's made in respiration. And it's also warmer because, again, microorganisms are living things. If you do respiration, it's inefficient, heat's produced, and therefore compost, piles of compost are warm. It can save your life, this. If you're ever like walking home at night, it's -20, you've lost your coat, you're not going to make it home, you're slowly freezing to death, and then you spot a pile of compost, decomposing compost. You can just excavate your way in and you'll stay nice and warm. It's a bit like Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, when Luke Skywalker, he kills this like big animal and he slices it open and he climbs inside to keep warm. So one of those is made up, but climbing into compost might save your life at some stage. And then I've just been to my kitchen and photographed these 3 things. So these 3 things are foods: baked beans, raisins, and milk, and they all last for a reasonable amount of time. The best before date on these beans is sometime in 2021. These last until October this year, and the milk runs out on the 21st of April. And I don't want my milk to go off, and therefore I keep it in the fridge, because if it's cold, things don't decay as much. Yeah, there's bacteria in the milk. It is going off slowly. It will become sour as it goes off, but by keeping it in the fridge, the enzymes that the bacteria release lack the energy to react, and therefore it slows down its decomposition. Eventually, I'll drink some and I'll taste the sourness and decide, oh no, it's now decomposed too much. These raisins are also, really slow at decomposing. And a raisin is just a dried grape, and the crucial word is dry. That to decompose, you need moisture, and if you remove enough moisture, then it's very hard for bacteria and fungi to actually decompose things. You can think about the what they call when they mummified bodies in Egyptian times. They remove the water, they dry them out, and then they have these dry remains left. Beans, again, I don't keep these in the fridge. They're not dry, but it is sealed. It's away from oxygen. So for decomposition, you need oxygen, you need moisture, and you need warmth. You need energy for the enzymes to react. Right, I'm just going to show you some decomposition. I'm just going to show you a video. It's a funky tune, is this? So this is fruit and veg that's going to decompose over 74 days, and it's been speeded up. There's a cat meowing as well for food. A bit slightly. So there's apples, tomatoes, looks like a potato. You see, but the tomatoes are decomposing. Bananas going black. The apples are going now. They're decomposing. These speckles are flies that are flying around. So they're all going at different rates. These are garlic. Banana's completely gone now. Potatoes not changing. Some kind of squash. Is that courgette? Light's changed slightly. So it's decomposing, there's oxygen, there's warmth, there's moisture in the fruit. What's this doing now? It's moving. Lights got off, lights back on. Right, I'll pause it there. Loads of soft fruit decompose quickly because fruit contains seeds and it wants to release its seeds. So the flesh is just to attract animals to eat it, and then the seeds won't get digested, and then when the animal poos, the seeds will come out, and therefore it grows. A potato doesn't want to be eaten. It wants to be left under the soil, and therefore it's just really resistant to being decomposed. Yeah, it's got an impervious kind of coating on it, and therefore, yeah, it doesn't decompose very, very quickly, and it can therefore grow and grow on a new plant. Same for things like garlic. They contain a chemical that that we quite like the flavour of, but it prevents bacteria from growing inside it, and therefore it protects them. So yeah, some things are resistant to decay naturally because they have chemicals in them that prevent decay, or they're impervious to it. Others want to decay. An apple wants to rot slowly, and therefore it will release its seeds inside eventually. There's loads of decay videos on YouTube. Again, it's a bit upsetting to see animals do it, so I've avoided them. So just to another bean can. In your books, you just need to make a note of this. That just for notes, it's the only bit that we need to know, because again, most of what we're doing is old knowledge anyway. So you just need to know that decomposition is carried out by bacteria and fungi. So all fungi do it. It's the job of fungi. Fungi decompose things. Some bacteria are decomposers, whereas other bacteria, live inside us or live on our skin. And crucially, it takes place faster in conditions that are warm, moist, and aerobic. If it's warm, enzymes work faster. If it's moist, if I'm a bacterium here and there's some food here, well, the enzymes have to be released from the bacterium, get from the bacterium to the food, and therefore it needs a moist environment for it to diffuse from A to B, and then the nutrients to diffuse from B to A back again. If it's dry, bacterium here can't feed on the food here, yeah, because the enzymes can't walk across that gap. So yeah, moisture's needed. And if it's aerobic, then you can do aerobic respiration. If you do aerobic respiration, you can release lots and lots of energy, and therefore you can do things far, far faster. We'll be moving on Thursday about what happens when there is no oxygen and you do get some bits of decay. And that's when methane's produced. Okay, so that's it from me today. There'll be another task for you to have a go at, but that's me waving off, and I'll speak to you again on Thursday. Let me just stop this.